This video is not about becoming cold. It is about becoming uncontrolled. It is not about manipulating others. It is about removing the leverage they unknowingly have over you. Because modern life rewards emotional leakage. Oversharing is framed as authenticity. Immediate reactions are framed as honesty. Constant availability is framed as kindness. But beneath that language is a quieter truth. Every reaction teaches people how to move you. Every explanation teaches people how to challenge you. Every emotional display teaches people where you are vulnerable. This video is an examination of 7 silent psychological laws. Not rules you enforce on others, but principles you apply internally to become mentally untouchable in a noisy, exposed world. Think of this not as a transformation, but as subtraction. Most people believe strength is loud. They believe power announces itself. That confidence explains itself. That respect comes from being understood. That belief is exactly why they are exposed. In this new year, the most dangerous position is not being weak. It is being predictable. The world no longer punishes aggression. It punishes transparency. And while everyone is being encouraged to express, explain, and expose themselves, a smaller group is doing the opposite. They are becoming quieter, harder to read, more difficult to access. Not because they are cruel, but because they understand something most people never will. The most powerful people are never fully visible. Before we continue, understand this. This channel is not designed to motivate you. It is designed to reveal patterns most people are too emotionally invested to see. If you're looking for comfort, reassurance, or validation, this is not the place. But if you already feel that quiet frustration, the sense that the rules everyone follows don't actually reward them, then you should subscribe now, not because you need content, but because this way of thinking compounds over time. Miss one idea, and nothing changes. Miss months of them, and you stay predictable. Law 1. Control perception by reducing explanation. The first mistake most people make is believing they owe the world clarity. They explain their decisions. They justify their boundaries. They defend their intentions. And every time they do, something subtle happens. They place themselves below the judgment of others. Explanation sounds innocent, but psychologically, it signals uncertainty. When you explain too much, you invite evaluation. When you defend yourself, you imply guilt. When you clarify constantly, you suggest confusion. Mentally untouchable people understand this. Perception is shaped more by what you withhold than what you reveal. They speak cleanly. They decide quietly. They let outcomes speak. This does not mean being secretive. It means being selective. Not every choice needs an audience. Not every boundary needs a justification. Not every silence needs to be filled. The less you explain, the more stable you appear. And stability is mistaken for authority. Law 2. Silence is a psychological mirror. Silence makes people uncomfortable, not because silence is aggressive, but because it forces them to confront themselves. Most people fill silence with nervous honesty. They reveal, they soften, they overcorrect. Mentally untouchable individuals let silence work for them. They answer without rushing. They pause without apologizing. They allow gaps in conversation without anxiety. And something interesting happens. The other person begins to project. They assume. They expose priorities they didn't plan to reveal. Silence is not absence. It is pressure without force. You do not need to dominate a room to control the dynamic. You only need to be the person least afraid of quiet. Because the person who breaks silence first is usually the one seeking approval. Law 3. Strategic absence creates psychological weight. Availability is often mistaken for value. If you are always reachable, always responsive, always present, you become expected, and what is expected is rarely respected. Mentally untouchable people understand a simple truth. Presence only has value when absence exists. They do not disappear dramatically. They do not withdraw emotionally. They simply do not overextend. They take longer to respond. They are not present at everything. They allow others to feel the gap, and in that gap, perception shifts. Scarcity creates focus. Distance creates curiosity. Absence creates gravity. This is not a tactic. It is a boundary. When your time is not endlessly available, your attention becomes meaningful. If this resonates, don't explain why. Just comment. Noted. Law 4. Emotional restraint is invisibility. The moment someone can provoke you, they gain access to your nervous system. Anger feels powerful, but it is reactive power. Mentally untouchable people operate differently. They feel emotion, but they do not broadcast it. They observe before responding. They process before reacting. They choose expression deliberately. This creates a strange effect. People cannot read them easily. They cannot predict reactions. They cannot escalate conflict. Emotional restraint is not weakness. It is psychological camouflage. When others expect volatility and meet calm, they lose leverage. Not because you suppressed emotion, but because you refused to surrender control. Law 5. Opacity protects long-term direction. Modern culture celebrates being known, but full visibility has a cost. When everyone knows your plans, your motivations, your internal struggles, you invite interference. Mentally untouchable people share selectively. They talk about outcomes, not processes. They reveal results, not intentions. They let progress be discovered, not announced. This protects momentum. Not everyone needs access to your inner world. Not every listener deserves insight into your direction. Privacy is not secrecy. It is strategic containment. You don't hide because you are afraid. You limit exposure because you are building. Law 6. Design your life to require less trust. Trust is often treated as a moral virtue, but psychologically, it is a risk variable. Mentally untouchable people do not assume betrayal, but they do not depend on loyalty either. They design systems where failure is survivable. They diversify reliance. They keep options. They avoid placing all emotional or professional weight on a single point. This is not cynicism. It is resilience. When expectations are modest, disappointment loses its power. And when disappointment loses power, manipulation disappears. By now, you already know whether this channel is meant for you. Most people watching at this point won't subscribe. Not because they disagree, but because committing would mean changing how they move. If you're still watching, you're already different. Act like it. Law 7. Remove the invisible audience. Most people live with an audience in their head. Parents, peers, strangers, the algorithm. They adjust behavior based on imagined reactions. Mentally untouchable people fire that audience. They act based on internal alignment, not external applause. They make decisions without rehearsing explanations. They move forward without waiting for permission. An opinion is not force. A judgment is not gravity. A reaction has no mass. Once you understand this, you become extremely difficult to influence, because influence requires access, and you've closed the door. Being mentally untouchable does not mean you feel nothing. It means nothing has permission to control you. You are no longer the beast in the mud, proud of how much weight you can carry, until your spine finally snaps. You are the architect, while others spend the coming year explaining themselves, reacting, and performing for an audience that forgets them by morning. You understand something quieter, that the most powerful sound in the world is not applause. It is the click of a door closing behind you. As this year begins, most people will promise change. Very few will design it. If you are still here, you already know which group you belong to. For the outliers who are ready to go deeper, those who want the conversations that cannot survive in public spaces, click the subscribe button below, and we will grow quietly. If you subscribe, understand what you're opting into. Fewer reactions, fewer explanations, fewer emotional mistakes. If that feels heavy, leave now. If it feels relieving, you already know what to do. Not more content, not motivation, continuation. You don't need to roar to be respected. You don't need to explain to be understood. You simply need to understand the laws of the game and move with a quiet signature. Here's to entering the new year unseen.